I thought it got to be too messy. And I said it out loud. I think for a while, Club Shay Shay was like Wendy Williams with a weight set. Like, damn, this dude, I mean, it just. And essentially, Bernie, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve. So, nothing like that ever happens or doesn't happen for a reason. So I was disappointed, but I understood that, those kind of things happen. And then I watched Bernie Mac and Isaac Hayes in church. If that ain't saying something, I'm like, wow, this is what I've been missing all this time? Y'all can do this? I met Bernie in Detroit at the music hall, and at that time we had a 12 o'clock show, 2 o'clock show, 4 o'clock show. First time I ever met Bernie, all he talked about was his family and this city. He loved this city. Initially, I was going to do it, and it kept my schedule. It just didn't work out, but I'm glad I didn't.
When D.L. Hughley broke his silence after 16 long years, the whole entertainment world froze, because what he revealed about Bernie Mac wasn't just heartbreaking, it was straight up chilling. Bernie's death wasn't only about illness, it was about betrayal, control, and the kind of Hollywood politics that eat their own. DL said the truth had been buried deep, hidden behind fake tributes and polished interviews. Bernie Mac didn't die as just another star who got sick. He died feeling cornered, betrayed, and punished for believing he was worth more than the system allowed.
But you know what's funny to me? I went to a funeral the other day. Now, black funerals, I don't care about, and I'm gonna tell you why. I don't care about funerals, period. Because I personally believe that you show your love to a person while they're here.
I never watch what somebody else does. It does not matter. Bernie Mac got to do a thing.
What was your ultimate goal? What did you want to do?
To be the best.
To be the best.
Within myself. I'm not in competition with anybody.
So you didn't care what form that took?
No, I don't care what people say.
Not compared to a real job. I will not disrespect the people here that work hard.
This isn't a real job.
This ain't no real job. I think the luxury comes from us doing what we really enjoy doing, so we don't feel the pain. It's a different type of work.
Back in 1997, when the original Kings of Comedy tour exploded, Bernie was supposed to play his position. Steve Harvey was the main man. DL had his lane, and everything was set up neat and quiet. But Bernie, he was never built to follow the script. Every night on stage, he tore the roof down. His jokes hit different. They weren't just punchlines, they were truth bombs. He spoke straight from the soul, from real-life pain, and audiences felt that. Before long, folks weren't showing up for the Kings.
If you want help, that's not help, that's taken care of. Then when they sit there and they play psychological blackmail with you, they got the best story, but I'm good at it.
But it's funny because you can say anything, you can say anything about black or black or brown people. You can say anything about them and people will believe you. Anything. Like the same time they're saying Lansy dogs, Venezuelans took over Aurora. There is a mentality in this nation where you can say anything about them.
It ain't never a good time to fire a black man. There's always gonna be some controvery. In the morning, he got a problem with it. If he come walking in, hey, Bernie, before you punch in, can I talk to you? Yeah, what's the problem? We won't need you anymore.
Okay, so Bernie Mac, people don't know this. Bernie Mac's first movie, Wayans, we put on a lot of people. We put on a lot of people because if you funny, we want to give you opportunity. The first thing Bernie Mac did, Mo Money, he played a bouncer in Mo Money. Second thing he did, we put him in a movie, Don't Be a Menace. He played Officer Self-Hatred. Wow. Then we put him on Wayans Brothers. Then me and Bernie did Above the Rim together. Like, I love Bernie Mac. Me and Bernie was very tight. I love that man, but I always knew, once again, he was gonna be funny.
They were showing up for Bernie. His rawness made people laugh, but also made them see themselves. That's when things started getting dangerous, because in comedy, the closing act isn't just a slot, it's a power move. And when Bernie started asking to close the show, it wasn't about ego, it was about respect. But Hollywood doesn't like when a black man demands power he wasn't supposed to have.
But you know what's funny to me? I went to a funeral the other day. Now, black funerals, I don't care about, and I'm gonna tell you why. I don't care about funerals, period. Because I personally believe that you show your love to a person while they're here. No, I really do. I'm not bullshit. But I think it's a bunch of bullshit for me to come here and look over a person. I don't know you like that. First of all, you don't know I'm there. So all the things I do for you while you're alive is more important to me than coming, sitting up there, staring at somebody that I don't even know like that. You understand what I'm saying? So I think black people is a bunch of bullshit. White people, man, I respect y'all, because you all on bullshit. Motherfucker died night, y'all bury his ass the next day. He dead. He costing me money. Costing me money. I can't out this son, bitch. He ain't doing no good to me.
The moment Bernie tried to step up, the system stepped in. He broke an unspoken rule, one that said you can shine, but don't outshine the ones who run the show. In Bernie's light, too bright. His talent, his honesty, his refusal to play the nice guy made execs nervous. He didn't fake smiles, didn't sugarcoat pain, and he didn't act grateful for scraps. But that's exactly what Hollywood wanted him to do. So instead of celebrating him, they panicked.
I never watch what somebody else does. It does not matter. Bernie Mac got to do a thing.
What was your ultimate goal? What did you want to do?
To be the best.
To be the best.
Within myself. I'm not in competition with anybody.
So you didn't care what form that took?
No, I don't care what people say. When I went home one day, I told my daughter, I said, baby girl, Boots was about 8? When I told her, I said, I might say some things, you might hear Dad say some things.
Maybe about 10.
But that's not Dad. They're jokes. And it does not matter as long as you know the truth. And when she got big, she started fighting for me. He ain't like that. you know, she used to get mad. You know, they say Bernie's rough, he's raunchy. He just telling Joe he playing.
Bernie became a threat, a black comedian who knew his worth and wasn't afraid to demand it. The industry couldn't control him, so they did what they always do when a star becomes too real. They tried to destroy him. Suddenly, the tabloids started whispering about ego clashes and diva behavior. Journalists who'd never been backstage suddenly had inside stories. The media twisted his confidence into arrogance, his fight for fair pay into a bad attitude. The same fans who once loved his authenticity were now being told he was difficult. And just like that, the campaign began. It was a silent war.
Watch how Bernie Mac confronted Oprah for mocking comedians and saying his job as a comedian isn't a real job.
Have such stressful jobs. How do you unwind to relax at some time?
I think their job is stressful. I think being the Wonder Bread representative might be stressful.
Not compared to a real job. I will not disrespect the people here that work hard.
This isn't a real job.
This ain't no real job. I think the luxury comes from us doing what we really enjoy doing, so we don't feel the pain. It's a different type of work, but yeah, it's stressful when you got 149 people depending on you, dealing with 10 writers, and you're sitting up there trying to tell your story, going on stage and 18,000 people looking at you, and you ain't funny, man. What you talking about?
A calculated effort to humble Bernie Mac. D.L. Hughley saw it all go down. The backstabbing, the politics, the jealousy, and he knew the game was rigged. Behind the scenes, movie roles started disappearing, guest spots got postponed. Studios suddenly picked other comedians, the kind they could control. Every time Bernie stood up for himself, another door quietly shut. Friends he thought were ride or die started pulling away, not because they stopped caring, but because nobody in Hollywood wants to stand next to someone labeled trouble. The industry was slowly breaking him down. Rumors, lies, manipulation. It all chipped away at Bernie's spirit until even he started doubting himself.
I had a guy tell me, Charles, he said, wow, man, they're about to put me out of my house. I'm 8 months behind. I said, you should have called me when you was a day behind.
What Bernie says next, gonna have you nodding and laughing at the same time.
Call me the day that you owe. If you want help, that's not help, that's taken care of. Then when they sit there and they play psychological blackmail with you, they got the best story. But I'm good at it. I see it coming. When they come to the house and all of a sudden they knock on the door. Hey, man, what's happening? What's wrong with you? Yeah, it's rough out here, man. I don't know how I'm gonna go home and tell your sister that we gotta move. Y'all gotta move? Yeah, we can't stay here, can we? Rule number 1, if somebody calls you after 9 o'clock, don't let them in. I need to talk to you, talk to them in the morning, 8 o'clock, come to the office. But they ain't nothing but a murder there. They ain't nothing but a murder. But if you say no, you better say no, just like this. Well, I ain't got it.
He began to wonder, maybe I'm asking for too much. That's how powerful the gaslighting was. They didn't just attack his career, they attacked his mind. And by the time Bernie got sick, Hollywood had already built its excuse. He's too sick to work, too risky to hire. Instead of compassion, they used his illness as a weapon to push him out for good. DL described it as watching someone drown in slow motion, one of the realest and most painful things he'd ever witnessed. The system Bernie helped elevate was now the same one crushing him.
Initially, I was going to do it, and it kept my schedule. It just didn't work out, but I'm glad I didn't. I thought it got to be too messy, and I said it out loud. I think for a while, Club Shay Shay was like Wendy Williams with a weight set. Like, this dude, I mean, it was messy. The reason that those people went on Club Shay Shay in its first iteration before it became successful, it's because we saw what he did, and the reason I was going to go on it is because we saw what Skip did to him. I said any number of things about the way Skip sunned him.
Is that when he said, put your glasses back on or something like that?
That was so horrible to me that I think a lot of people were determined to help this black man be successful because of what had happened to him. And to kind of curate all that bull and have that place that they worked so hard for you to have so you would have your own space be just an amalgamation and curate all the bull that is happening in our community seemed insulting to me.
Right. And we're talking about, man, some of the same people that rallied around him to make sure he was good.
By the time the world lost Bernie Mac in 2008, the headlines called it pneumonia and complications from sarcoidosis. But those who knew him said Hollywood killed him long before his body gave out. The same executives who shunned him were suddenly on TV calling him a legend. The same people who ignored his pain were now posting tributes. And just like that, the machine cleaned up the story, turned his struggle into a feel-good Hollywood myth, and buried the truth.
And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you on Bernie? The reason you was supposed to go last is because it was your tour. It was Steve's tour. These are the guys opening for him. Tell the truth. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it because you did. Now that he gone, you gonna act like...
After Bernie's passing, Hollywood spun the narrative clean. No more power struggles, no more betrayal talk, just a neat story about four brothers who loved each other till the end. The original kings of comedy became a fairy tale, not a battlefield. The same industry that iced Bernie out turned his pain into promo. DL Hughley was trapped in a tough spot. If he spoke out, they'd call him disrespectful to Bernie's memory. But if he stayed silent, the lie would live forever.
Okay. Everything we did was legal. And here's where a black woman really gets the kick in the ass. Had I not recorded Tyler Perry, then it would have been my word against his. And then on top of that, it would have been, he's so powerful, we can't even pay no attention to that.
Right.
Well, now I have him on audio, which is legal to do where we live.
Right.
Okay? We have him on audio. And do you know what some people then said? Why would you record him? But did you hear what the man said? I violated you.
Yeah.
I mistreated you.
Yeah.
Do you know, Shannon, that's cost my family tens of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Over a lie and a rumor?
Is he gonna he's gonna compensate you for that?
I want you to look in your camera.
Yes.
And I want you to talk to Tyler Perry because you heard what that man said. So ask him, will he compensate my family for that?
Tyler, will you come on Club Shay Shay and let's have a conversation?
Even Bernie's own family, still grieving, just wanted peace. DL respected that, but deep down he knew this silence wasn't about peace. It was about protection, protecting the system that broke Bernie. Because if the truth ever surfaced, it would expose how Hollywood uses racism and quiet control to keep powerful black voices from rising too high. Real footage got buried, contracts hidden, interviews edited. Everything that could prove the truth was locked away behind confidential deals. The world was left with a fake version, a glossy image of Bernie Mac as Hollywood's favorite comedian, not the man who fought tooth and nail against a corrupt machine. For years, DL carried that weight, watching the same patterns repeat. Then came the moment that cracked everything open, his feud with Nique in 2022. What started as a regular comedy booking turned into one of the nastiest Hollywood showdowns in recent memory. Both were set to perform at Detroit's Fox Theater, two comedy legends, same stage, easy night, right? Wrong. When Nique found out DL was closing the show, the headliner slot, she snapped. Instead of keeping it professional, she went personal, real personal. She dragged his name in interviews, brought up his family, and even mentioned the traumatic situation involving his daughter. It wasn't just a disagreement, it was public war. DL didn't hide. He came with receipts, contracts, emails, and text messages proving he wasn't lying. But by then, the internet had already picked sides, and the smear campaign had begun. Sound familiar? It was deja vu. Just like Bernie, DL was suddenly being called difficult, arrogant, and hard to work with. The pattern was identical: personal attack, media spin, then isolation. Hollywood had a new target, but there was one key difference this time. Social media changed the game. Bernie never had Twitter or Instagram to defend himself, but DL did. He could speak directly to his fans, no middleman twisting his words, and people were listening. The same platforms that fueled gossip also became his lifeline. He used his radio show, his voice, his own mic to fight back, and fans backed him up heavy. Still, the toll was real. Friends fell back, invites stopped coming, Hollywood parties turned awkward. The silence Bernie faced years ago was creeping toward DL, and he could feel it. But unlike before, he wasn't going to let the same story repeat. He'd watched what silence did to Bernie, how it drained his energy and dignity, and DL swore that wouldn't be him. He refused to fade out quietly or let the machine decide when his story was over. By now, DL wasn't just a comedian. He had evolved into a voice, a critic, and a man who'd seen too much to stay quiet. He'd been on both sides, the rising star and the target, and that gave him a new purpose, to speak for the ones who couldn't anymore. Hollywood wanted him quiet, but he wasn't playing that game. The Nique feud for him became bigger than just a beef. It was a mirror showing that the same system that buried Bernie Mac was still operating, just slicker. They didn't blacklist anymore. Now they called it brand safety. They didn't openly ban you. They just stopped calling. And slowly your career faded until you disappeared completely. That's the new Hollywood game, silence by erasure. But DL saw through it. He knew what was happening. He understood that when black entertainers demanded the same respect white stars got, they weren't seen as assertive, they were seen as problems. And that label can kill a career faster than any scandal. Even so, DL wasn't backing down. He'd already survived the fire, and now he was ready to burn the lies down himself. By 2024, DL Hughley had become more than a comedian. He was a living reminder of what happens when you speak truth in a place built on silence. After years of radio talk, viral clips, and no-filter interviews, he wasn't just cracking jokes anymore. He was calling out the whole system. But that same honesty made him a new kind of threat. When he publicly apologized to Kamala Harris for judging her too harshly, he thought he was doing the right thing, showing growth, owning his words. But Hollywood doesn't reward honesty unless it benefits their image. Within hours, social media exploded. Some fans said he'd been bought out. Others claimed he was paid off. Suddenly, the man known for keeping it real was being dragged as a sellout. Just like that, the same machine that lifted him up turned on him again. Bookings got canceled. Comedy venues dropped him with vague scheduling issues. The Whisper campaign was back, quiet, cold, and calculated. It was the same slow suffocation Bernie Mac had lived through, only this time it was digital. But DL didn't fold, he adapted. His radio show blew up even more, his audience grew stronger, and instead of backing down, he doubled down. He used his platform to keep talking about what everyone else was scared to admit, that Hollywood hadn't changed at all. It just got sneakier. Instead of shutting doors in your face, they just stopped calling. Instead of firing you, they make you too controversial to book. That's how they silence you now, all while pretending to be inclusive, but DL refused to vanish. He had seen how Bernie's story ended, and he wasn't about to let history erase another black voice fighting for fairness. He started connecting with other comedians, writers, and actors who'd been quietly pushed aside for speaking up. Together, they built their own spaces, podcasts, independent shows, live stream, platforms nobody could take away. Hollywood hated that. The same people who once ignored him now had to watch him grow without their help. And that's when DL decided to drop the bombshell, the truth about what really happened to Bernie Mac and so many others like him. He announced he had evidence, stories, and unseen footage that could finally expose how the industry operates behind closed doors. After 16 years of silence, the time for fear was over. What they did to Bernie wasn't just a tragedy, it was a blueprint. When a black entertainer rises too high, speaks too loud, or demands too much, the system finds a way to dim that light. Sometimes it's with fake headlines, sometimes it's with canceled deals, and sometimes it's with silence. But now, that silence was cracking. DL's message hit hard because it wasn't just about Bernie. It was about every entertainer who ever got chewed up by a system built on control. He called it Hollywood's invisible punishment. You won't see it in the contracts or the press releases, but you'll feel it when your phone stops ringing and your name disappears from the credits. It's the quiet blacklisting, the kind that kills your career while pretending to wish you well. and DL wasn't the only one waking up to it. More comedians started speaking out. People like Katt Williams, who'd been saying for years that the industry was built on manipulation and silent takedowns. Suddenly it all made sense. The same forces that buried Bernie Mac's truth were still at work, just hidden under hashtags and PR statements. But DL had one thing they couldn't stop: the people. His audience grew stronger, louder, and more loyal because they could tell he wasn't making this up. Every time Hollywood tried to quiet him, his fan base made more noise. By exposing what they did to Bernie, DL wasn't just seeking revenge. He was reclaiming respect. His story became a movement, a reminder that talent should never have to beg for equality, and that speaking truth shouldn't be a career risk. The machine that once silenced voices like Bernie Mac's was now facing a new era, one where the truth couldn't be buried anymore. DL said it best: they didn't just bury Bernie Mac, they buried the truth with him, but I'm here to dig it up. And now, the question everybody's asking is, if this is what they did to Bernie Mac, who's next? So make sure you subscribe, share, like, and comment, because this story isn't over yet, and the next truth Hollywood tried to bury might just blow the lid off everything.